Oracle. For day 7 of learning the deck, the Faeries Oracle. Card number 19, the Sage. Wisdom, hidden knowledge, retreat, old age, and patience. The Sage is also the shaman. Not all wise men are shamans, and not all shamans are wise men. But this one is both. Power informed by wisdom, and wisdom made manifest by power. This is also the face of Father Time. And we see the colors of the season surrounding him. Sometimes he is Old Man of the Mountain, the hermit who searches within for wisdom and understanding, and then is willing to share it with any true seeker who comes to him. His blind eye enables him to look into other worlds, other realms, and the wisdom buried deeply within each of us, where the singers dwell. He has reached a stage of life where he has to let go of many of the activities of younger beings, retreated somewhat from the outer world of fairy, and has become more deeply immersed in the inner landscapes of knowledge, inner vision, contemplation, and spirit. On the exterior, he lives simply, almost austerely, but his inner world is filled to overflowing with richness. In order to pursue his studies more thoroughly, the sage has cultivated detachment. Some may see this as remoteness or coldness, but he is no less loving for that. The sage finds the inner connections between everything. He sees the connections, relationships, and consequences between seemingly separate ideas, beings, and things. Love and compassion are the inevitable consequences of seeing truly, and this leads the sage to share his learnings with others. Like any other wise elder, he leads by gently teaching from his vast store of wisdom. When asked for his judgment about something, he is discriminating and generous-hearted. He turns a blind eye to punishment, feeling that what is needed is mercy, and a way of teaching those who err that they will not make the same mistakes again. The sage is constantly learning. While on the one hand he values tradition and stability, he also understands and values the need for growth and change. He can't go for a walk or a flight around the neighborhood without discovering something and trying to see how it fits into the whole. He is always expanding his understanding of reality and deepening his awareness. As we develop patience and compassion intertwined, we begin to manifest the wisdom of the sage. Here we see wisdom and deep inner understanding. One of the keys of wisdom is to organize, integrate, and simplify one's thoughts. Complexity often leads to confusion. Simplicity is to be valued. This card signifies mental discipline, informed by balanced learning and compassion. Tradition is valued, but appropriate change is accepted. The sage knows when to let go and when to move on. He knows when to retreat and think things over. He compassionately and wisely shares his knowledge with others, teaching by example as well as by precept. The scales of justice are balanced in the sage's hands. This card in a reading also signifies the need for deep consideration and refined judgment applied with compassion and mercy. In the reverse, when the wisdom of the sage is blocked, artificial or inappropriate boundaries are set between different aspects of life. We become unable to apply learning in one sphere to other aspects of life, or information is withheld, kept secret, when it could benefit others, which in turn would benefit us. Sometimes learning is blocked by the belief that we already have all the answers, but we never actually do. Twisted, the sage's accumulation of facts and information becomes unwisdom, knowledge misused and distorted. facts distorted for selfish purposes, information used to the detriment of others. There is always a risk of this when we set out to power something rather than to discover something. Other twists include being excessively critical, being cold and uncaring, or being cynical or embittered. These are all faults of balance. At its worst, knowledge and experience are channeled toward the destruction of self or others. And here I really see the sage as the archetype to aspire for, a goal, a very important goal. Card number 27, Nelys the Alchemist. Inner transformation, irrevocable change. In fairy, and sometimes in our own world, alchemy is the study and practice of transforming the soul from the lead of primitive conditioned reactions to the gold of spiritual and practical attainment. Nelys is mistress of the alchemical arts, and she also understands that daily life is a spiritual exercise. She recognizes that transformation may take place from the inside out, or from the outside in. When things are stuck and movement has become impossible, Nelys firmly waves her rowan wand and things happen in ourselves and in the world. Sometimes things just cannot move without readjustment, perhaps even radical realignment. We may feel that we should be able to bring our plans to fruition, but we may be aiming at the impossible, or at least at the very inappropriate. Part of the impossibility or inappropriateness may be a result of our own attitudes, beliefs, or behaviors, and part of it may be circumstances in the world, things that are beyond our control. Often, inner transformation is required in order to achieve what we wish for in the outer world, just as, conversely, changes in the outer world often elicit inner transformation. Personal inner change is the truest transformation of all, and in the long run, it is the only change that really matters. Nelys points out a path we can follow, but she does not lead us by the hand along it, although she might give us a nudge if we seem to need it. That's from Jonathan, one of the members of the Oracle group with Jessica Macbeth. When another Oracle group member was looking at Nelys, a giggling fairy voice said, "If you concentrate very hard, you can get to the bottom of the problem." When Nelys turns up in your reading, get ready for things to happen. And that's very much a Temperance card. Get ready for things to happen inwardly and outwardly. The stuck becomes unstuck. The blocked begins to move. We may have to run to keep up with the speed at which the situation around you is moving. You may also be surprised by the direction things and you are taking. You may find your plans, even your desires and dreams, changing as the transformative process takes place. It might not have been in your plans, but later on you will look back and say, "Wow, it wasn't what I expected, but it was just what I needed." When we have been through such an alchemical process, we can never go back to what we were before, which is probably just as well. In the reversed, card 27, Nelys the Alchemist, may mean you may be getting in Nelys's way as she does her work. To put it bluntly, you may be the main obstacle in your own path. It may be necessary to transform attitudes and behaviors. She will first approach you with tact and a kindly fairy warning, pointing out an alternative path you might try. At this point, it would be well to begin actively cooperating with her energy of alchemical transformation. And that is quite a hefty fairy wand she carries. And I'm sure it isn't just for decoration. Jessica asked her about that once, but all she got was an outrageous grin in reply. So I don't need to go into Dorcha, Epon's wild daughter, anymore because I can refer to that in another reading. But as a review, Dorcha is about the Sphinx who asks you difficult questions, riddles that you have to figure out yourself. So it means you go through a tough patch and come out of it wiser as the sage, right? It's tough love. And the answers to her riddles often come in a sudden burst of enlightenment. And interestingly, she's followed by List of the Shadows, which has this, if I remember correctly, List of the Shadows has that social worker type of energy. So it's interesting. It definitely heralds or points out to a tough patch that's coming. And the Temperance card here alluding to a time of preparation, because it's an integration, an alchemical process happening, taking place, about to take place. And the Two of Pentacles here. The hardship that's being alluded to is this Nine of Swords, which came in the back of the, which came as a bottom card, but you don't see it quite as much. But because it's a holographic card, I actually didn't mean to buy the hologram version of this card, but it ended up that way. But it's got like a ghost of a raven here. So I guess there is light in the dark. But there is hope if you trust in the universe and in your intuition, as is being encouraged by the sage over here. So I think I know what my guidance is for the day. Thank you, fairies. Thank you, spirits, ancestors, cosmos, mother. Thank you for your guidance. And so ends our reading for today.